Hey friends, how's it going? Well, today I am bringing you a quick little video, probably not so quick, but a video about how I menu plan. Maybe you've menu planned for a long time and so you're an expert and you're going to give me lots of tips. Maybe you've never menu planned and so you were on the YouTubes and you're like, menu planning, and then you found me and I'm like, hey, maybe you have been menu planning for a while, but you're kind of bored with whatever you're doing, or you just wanted to menu plan and see what other people are doing because you wanted to know there was somebody else out there like you, and there is. So, anyways, I menu plan using this calendar that I get off of Amazon, and I have used other calendars and I do like them. I just happen to really like this one. It is my favorite. And I found an insert for it that has this sweet little thing. It says, "You don't have to cook fancy or complicated masterpieces, just good food from fresh ingredients." And that is from a quote from Julia Child. And so I love that. And it has a little tab in it, and it says meal planning. So it is pretty awesome. I will tell you guys that I will show you what I write in here, but I am dyslexic, and so none of it is spelled well and none of it is written very pretty, so feel free to pause it and zoom in on there and you can see all my bad spelling mistakes and have fun with that. But this is my real life, so whatevs. Anyways, so on this side it says weekly meal planner, and on this side it has the grocery list. And why I love this is because it has Monday through Sunday, and then what occasions are happening, and you can fill all of this out. And then while you're filling out your menu, you can write your grocery list down. And I wrote out this menu and I used and I wrote out for 3 weeks, and so I have a menu for this week, and then I wrote my grocery list here so that when we were in the grocery store I had it all in one place. What I struggle with the most, actually, being dyslexic, is writing the grocery list. And so I come up with great ideas for food and I can write them in my handy dandy planner, but writing the list can get really complicated and overwhelming for me. So I usually double check the list with my husband. Right now my mom is staying with us for a while, and I double check the list with her, and I still don't get everything on my list, and I'm still working on that. But I do my absolute best. And so this time we planned for 3 weeks. When I go through seasons in my life when I don't menu plan, I kind of ease back into it, and by the time that I'm really just hitting my stride, usually I will plan for 4 weeks at a time. I find that saves us the most amount of money and also limits the amount of times I have to go to the grocery store, which I am grateful that we have grocery stores in America. Do not get me wrong on this. Like, I love that I can go to the grocery store and buy food and it is there consistently all the time. And I find that amazing, and it's magical and wonderful. So please don't get me wrong when I say that I absolutely do not like spending the time to go grocery shopping. Right now we are very busy reworking our house to get it on the market. So there was some damage that was done to the house, and we have to fix the house before we can put it on the market. And my head has been down, and I have been concentrating pretty much solely on that for the last 3 weeks. And the 3 hours that it takes to go grocery shopping once a week is just more than I want to give up. And I'd rather spend that time doing something fun with my kids. So I was doing once a week grocery shopping. I did a 2-week grocery plan, and this I finally did the 3-week grocery plan. So that makes me happy because I'm hoping that when Friday comes around, I will not have stepped in a grocery store for an entire week and a half. And that will just make me really happy. It's the little things in life, people, like, for real. So how do you start with a menu plan? Well, the first thing that I do is I take inventory of everything that is in my cupboards and that is in my freezer. There are some things in my pantry that I absolutely always have to have, and that is flour, sugar, yeast, salt, and oatmeal or some kind of hot cereal. those things, oh, and rice. Those things I usually have on hand almost 20 pounds, except for the salt. I don't keep 20 pounds of salt on hand, but I do try to keep those things on hand at about 20 pounds. When I start to get low on that, I make room in the budget to refill that and make sure that we have it. My thinking on that is that if everything else was depleted from my cupboards, and I was so sick I couldn't leave the house, that if I had running water, I could make a loaf of bread, and a loaf of bread will fill bellies, and oatmeal will fill bellies. So I try to have at least those ingredients in bulk on hand. I also try to keep dried beans on hand. In the past, I've kept 20 to 25 pounds of beans on hand. I went through all of those beans, and so now we're down to about 10 pounds of beans on hand right now. I'm sure that I will probably bulk that up again. And again, like that is, I could soak those in water and boil them, and we have a meal. So serve it over rice, and you have a complete protein. I am not a prepper, but I do want to make sure that we have some things in our pantry. So that is how I do that. So I take a list of everything that is, back to what I was saying, sorry. I take a list of everything that is in our pantry, and I start with the menu from there. So I try to start with the oldest things in our pantry. So if I have a can of salmon that has been in my pantry for 3 years, I'm going to try really hard to work it into my menu. Now, that be told, I have cans of salmon that have been in my pantry. I actually moved them from Washington to Texas, and they're still in my pantry, and I still haven't used them, and they're like a year and a half old. I really need to get with using canned salmon, but I just don't. So, what ifs? Like, that's my honest confession. I'm sure you guys have stuff in your pantry that you need to get around to using, and you just have not. So I work those into the sandwiches sometimes, okay? But I don't. So I sit down and I figure out what we have. I go through our meats, I go through our canned vegetables and all of that stuff, and whatever you guys have in your cupboards, that's going to look different for everybody. A lot of you are probably not going to keep that much bulk stuff in your pantry, and that is okay. That's just how we do it. So I sit down with that in mind, and depending on where our budget is, so we try to keep a pretty even amount of money that we spend every month on food, but sometimes it's a little less if we're paying off more debt that month. Sometimes bills come in that are higher than we expected, like electrical bills or whatever, so we try to kind of keep the monthly budget the same, but it's a little fluid, and I work from there. So what I know is cheap, I try to put that into the menu as much as possible. That just works for us. But you can do whatever you want to do. Really, it's okay. The main thing that helps us is just knowing that, hey, these are the things we're going to eat for the next month. I should probably have these things on hand. And then, yes, I do get it that fresh fruits and vegetables spoil. And so I will have to make it back to the store 1 or 2 times within that 4-week period, where I'll have to get milk, and I'll have to get bananas, and I'll have to get some fruits and vegetables that just do not stay well. But I try to limit that. So that's the truth. So for our 3 weeks worth of menus, which I guess I'll just go through them, I have groats, which is our steel cut oats that we keep on hand. That is our breakfast, and I'll go through and write that in many different places. The truth is, with breakfast though, that the kids kind of know what they can have for breakfast, and so they just pick and choose what they want, and then if it isn't pre-made for them, then they will make their own breakfast in the morning. So sometimes I will make them hot breakfast, and sometimes I will be like, hey, you guys are 13 and 14, almost 15, you guys can take care of this breakfast thing on your own, and mom is gonna do her thing. And then they do their thing and I do my thing, and everybody's getting food and we're all happy. So we always have eggs for a choice for breakfast. We have the steel cut oats for breakfast, and yogurt with homemade granola is also option that they can have, and they can also add fresh fruit. I usually keep strawberries and bananas on hand always, so they can always have that in the morning for breakfast. Lunches are usually sandwiches because I get lazy and I don't want to cook in the middle of the day. When you're a homeschool mom, stopping to cook a big lunch in the middle of the day can really take away from things. Now my children are a lot older now, and so I actually have a little more time to cook in the middle of the day, and so sometimes I will throw together a soup on Monday, and we will eat that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and they can have soup and sandwiches, or soup and or sandwiches, or just sandwiches, like whatever they want, they can have it. The rule in our house is that if it's an ingredient for the menu, so it's not there's certain foods in the house that are always available, you can eat them whenever, you don't have to ask. Apples, bananas, the berries in the fridge, if they're not an ingredient going into a meal, you can totally have it. If you don't know and you want to eat that, you need to come and ask permission. Now, it's not that like I'm hoarding food, they can't have food. I just don't want to go to cook dinner and I really needed the jalapenos to make the casserole that I'm making that night, and they're all gone because they decided to make poppers that day. Mom gets a little upset about that. So that is one thing that I do talk about the kids with, that hey, it's not that I'm trying to keep you from eating, but listen, I have these meals planned out for 4 weeks, and if you eat all the ingredients for what we're making in 2 weeks from now, I won't have it, and dinner's not going to be as good, and I'll be angry. So those are kind of the things you need to work out with your family. You figure it out however it works for you. That's, you guys do what you do. So anyways, I will sit down and I will write out all this stuff. I start with dinners and then I go to lunches, which I know is kind of, I don't know if that's backwards or not, but that's just what I do. And then I go to breakfast, and like I said, breakfast is kind of fluid. So I write all of that down. I take count of what days we're having sandwiches, and I try to figure out how many slices of bread we're going to need, and then I write down how many loaves of bread that equals. So on I shop for 3 weeks this time. So on my 3-week shopping trip, I will know how many loaves of bread I need to get us through that time. And that is really helpful to me. So some food that we have, I know a lot of people like to know like what people eat. So some food that we have, pork chops and green beans and applesauce for one dinner. Taco soup shows up a couple of different times in our menu planning. Waffles and pancakes and bacon and eggs for breakfast. On Fridays, we've been doing homemade pizza, and the kids think that is just amazing. I think it's funny, but they like it. So Fridays for the next 3 weeks is homemade pizza on Fridays. I have meatloaf, we have tacos, chicken soup, just homemade chicken soup. You can make your own recipe, whatever. If you guys are interested in wanting to see me make some of this food, let me know and I'll make some videos about how I cook. Drop biscuits one morning for breakfast with gravy. We have shepherd's pie and enchiladas and steak fajitas. I have a lot of lamb in the freezer, so lamb tacos shows up quite a few times. And then that's pretty much it. And then I write it all down in this book, and I take this book with me and I go grocery shopping. So that's how we menu plan. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, post them below, and like and subscribe our channel, and we will talk to you soon.